Welcome back to Football Daily, everybody. Today we need to talk about yet more predictions. Now, before we get into it, if you haven't already, make sure you go down into the comments below right now and leave a question for me to read out to the boys on Sunday Vibes. I'm still looking for a headline topic for this week, so if you think you know something good for us to talk about, leave it in the comments below. And whilst you're down there, hit the like button. Over 4,000 likes, and I'm going to do this same video, you've seen the title by now, but for the young player of the season from each club. Okay? Thanks. Now, we have seen 3 game weeks of the season so far, so we do have a very small sample size as who started very well, who started very badly indeed, Arsenal, Arteta. Anyway, today I'm going to be trying to predict the player of the season at each of the 20 Premier League clubs. I'll be honest with you, if I even get 25% of these correct, I'm pretty happy. Because my predictions, you know what they are, mud. And I'm not feeling confident. We're going to start with the mud men themselves then, Arsenal. Now, don't get me wrong, Arsenal fans, I'm still backing my pre-season prediction. I did have you 5th, so maybe I'm not fully backing it, but I think you're going to have a much, much better season than a lot of people are giving you credit for. But I still think there's 4 candidates for the player of the season position right now in my head. We're looking at Partey as an outside shout when he comes back from injury. We're looking at Kieran Tierney, purely because pretty much everything comes down his left-hand side. He's a real driving force for the team. He should really be the captain in my head. Bukayo Saka obviously won it last year, and I think he'll be very close to winning it this year as well. I think, what did he put up? 30 starts last season, 5 goals, 3 assists. But the man I'm going for is Emile Smith-Rowe. Now, let me explain this, because it is a little bit of a rogue choice, but I think Emile Smith-Rowe is going to take huge strides forward this season. I think he only made 18 starts last season and still put up 6 goal contributions. From what I've seen in the first 3 game weeks, he is going to be vital for everything good about Arsenal. He's been easily their best player so far this season. Brilliant at driving with the ball, great close control, chance-creating machine. And I think if he, let's say he plays over 30 games or starts over 30 games, I think he can put up double figures in terms of goal involvements very, very comfortably. So yeah, I think he's going to win the Player of the Season award. And to be honest with you, that kind of sums up where Arsenal are as a club right now. It's not a ringing endorsement. Moving on to Aston Villa then. I was having a look at who won the awards last year. And to my surprise, I was thinking, it's going to be Jack Grealish, even though he had the injuries. Player of the Season went to Matty Targett, which really surprised me. And Supporters Player of the Year, less surprisingly, went to Emi Martinez. And I certainly think Emi Martinez is going to be in the hunt again this year. 15 clean sheets he put up in the Prem last season. I think that was an Aston Villa record alongside Brad Friedel. For me, though, I'm going down the path of Daniel Ings. I just think that his goal contributions are going to be so vital to Aston Villa now without Jack Grealish in that side, that he'll become the sort of main man for this club. Even though Buendia is going to be a chance-creating machine, he's going to put up huge key pass numbers, as we've already seen at Aston Villa. I think Danny Ings scoring the goals will get the headlines, and that's the reason that he's going to win the Player of the Year. What was it, 12 goals last season in the Prem? I'm backing him to better that this season at Villa. I think he might get around 15, and if he gets 15, then I think he does automatically pretty much win the Villa Player of the Year. Moving on to Brentford then, and I was quite tempted to go rogue. I nearly had Ethan Pinnock down here because I think he started the season pretty well. I think he's going to play pretty much every minute of every game for Brentford at the heart of that back line. His progression's been unbelievable since the sort of Dulwich Hamlet days in his past. But I'm going slightly more conventional. I'm going to stick with Ivan Toney. The reason I'm going to go with Ivan Toney is if he doesn't score goals this season, Brentford are going to go down. And I kind of back him to. Again, a little bit like Danny Ings. If he gets anywhere around 15 goals, if he even gets 12 goals, I think he's had a great season. And it'll probably be enough to keep Brentford in the league, given the quality of some of the other sides in the division right now. So I'm going to go Ivan Toney just because I think he'll capture more headlines. Now, I suppose that shouldn't affect fans' perspective, because like Aston Villa did last season, Matty Targett won the Players' Player, Emi Martinez won Supporters over the likes of Jack Grealish. So it could well be a player like Ethan Pinnock here. Maybe it's because I don't know enough about this Brentford squad that I've gone for Ivan Toney. Moving on to Brighton, I was really tempted to go for Neil Maupay. I'm not going to lie, I think he's going to have a much, much better season for Brighton this year. He only put up 8 league goals last term, and I think he's already got 2 in 3. This season looks much, much fitter, looks much deadlier in front of goal. However, I think the best bits of business Brighton did this summer were keeping Potter and keeping the man I'm going to say is going to win the Player of the Year, and that is Yves Bissouma. Dunk won it last year. He won the Players Player of the Year award, and Ben White won the Supporters Player of the Year award at Brighton. I think this year it will be Bissouma. I think he's averaging 5.5 tackles and interceptions per 90 so far this season. Last year he was the only player to put up over 100 tackles and over 50 interceptions in the Premier League. He is absolutely monstrous in the middle of the park for Brighton. Without him, I think their season could derail. Probably not, because Potter is a good enough coach, but it's definitely going to be one of Maupay, Bissouma, Webster, or White, in my opinion. And I just think Bissouma is the best of the lot, and this is probably going to be the last season Brighton get to keep hold of him. So that's the reason I've gone for Bissouma. We're moving on to Burnley now then. I was actually up at the training ground this week chatting with Sean Dyche. What a lovely setup they've got up at Burnley. Real family feel to that club, and I think the man that wins it this year will be James Tarkowski. Now, I know that Chris Wood won it last year. He scored his 12 goals. Vital that they have a player to hit double figures this season. If Chris Wood doesn't, I think they might struggle. But it is James Tarkowski's last year at Burnley, in my opinion. Him and Ben Mee's contracts both up in the summer of 2022. And he is just such a monster at the heart of that Burnley backline. When he didn't have Ben Mee at the start of last season alongside him, he did look a little bit suspect, but I think he's their best player alongside maybe Dwight McNeil. So I'm going James Tarkowski to send himself off into the sort of clouds of Burnley folklore with the Player of the Season with the Player of the Season award. Got there eventually. We're moving on to Chelsea now, and this is a really tough one in my opinion to call. It's one of the harder clubs we've seen so far. They've got so many unbelievable options. A lot of people at home will be going, Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, Romelu Lukaku. It's definitely going to be Romelu Lukaku, and I do think he's going to be their top goal scorer. I think he's going to comfortably get 20 Premier League goals. I think he'll get 30 in all competitions at a minimum. He's going to be incredible for them this season. However, I also think Reece James is in with a shout. He has started the season so well. His last year of football, his progression has been unbelievable. I'm going to pull up his FB ref stats from Understat just to illustrate it a bit better. Alright, so here we have Reece James' last 365 days as a fullback against and compared against the other fullbacks across Europe's top 5 leagues. And when I say this guy is an all-round beast, I mean, how better to illustrate it? He's in pretty much the top 10 percentile of every single statistic available in terms of attacking output. Look at his non-penalty expected goals, like 74 percentiles. His shot creating actions at about 90 percentile, over 2.5. He's just an absolute machine. Even his passes attempted, progressive carries at nearly 6.5, tackles and interceptions, not the best. But that's because we know that he's playing as more of a wing-back in this Thomas Tuchel system. So he is slightly more advanced, slightly more aggressive. Overall, he's just ridiculous. And I think across the course of the season, you're going to see him progress so much, he might become a candidate. You've also got the obvious name, Mason Mount. Won it last year. Huge fan favourite. Extremely popular in the dressing room. Easily one of Chelsea's best and most consistent performers. But the man I'm going to pick... Bang my knee. Maybe that was Mason Mount in the back of my head saying, pick me, pick me. But no, I'm picking Kai Havertz. I think Kai Havertz, at the start of this season, has finally shown why Chelsea bought him for that sort of 70+ million figure. Absolute Rolls Royce of a footballer. He has got it all. When he drifts into those little pockets, he's almost impossible to play against. And I think him playing off of Romelu Lukaku is going to see his numbers skyrocket. I actually thought it would be Werner who played off Romelu Lukaku, but it looks like it's going to be Kai Havertz, and that is a scary sight, man. Okay, Crystal Palace are up next. I think this one is slightly tough as well, just because of the amount of recruitment they've done this summer. I don't know who's going to hit the ground running and who isn't, but what I am sure of is that they absolutely have to improve defensively. They had the 4th worst defensive record in the Prem last season. They conceded 66 goals. I think West Brom and Sheffield United obviously conceded more, and then Southampton, but that was probably because they were conceding about 15 a game at one stage. So the reason that I'm going to pick this man, Mark Guehi, is that I think he's going to have a huge impact at Crystal Palace on that defence. And if the defence improves vastly, I think it will be the most noticeable change. Therefore, it will be one of that back line that gets picked and selected as a player of the season. I also was tempted to put Joachim Andersen because I think he will show some real leadership skills in there. I was also looking at Eberechi Eze. He finished second in their Player of the Year award nominations last year, but with that Achilles problem, we don't know when he's going to be back. It might not be until the new year now, sadly. I simply couldn't pick him. Guaita won the award. And they still conceded 66 goals. That's how good he must have been last year. So I'm going to go for one of Joachim Andersen or Mark Guehi, and I've just landed on Guehi. Everton, I think, is a really easy one. It's definitely going to be Dominic Calvert-Lewin in my head. He's going to score a bucket load of goals. What was it last year? 16 Premier League goals I've got written down here. He's already got 3 and 3, and we know how Rafa wants to play. Rafa wants to put crosses into the box. He wants to be direct. He wants to utilise Calvert-Lewin's strengths, which is his aerial ability, his physical dominance, and his finishing in tight areas. And that is what's going to happen. Damari Gray has started the season really well. I anticipate Calvert-Lewin gets at least 15 to 20 goals this season. So for me, he's nailed on. I don't really see anybody coming close. Leeds are a much more tough proposition. When we talk about Stuart Dallas winning it last year, he was extremely versatile. He was sensational in a number of positions. This year, I think it might come down a little bit more to individual quality for Leeds, and that's the reason I've gone for Rafinha. I think he is Leeds' best player, maybe alongside Calvin Phillips and Melier in between the sticks, who both stand a chance at this award too. But Rafinha last season, it was his bedding in period, wasn't it? And he still put up 6 goals, 9 assists. I think this season we're going to see a real explosion from Rafinha. I think he'll be central to everything that's good about them. Now, he understands Bielsa's system even better. He's used to the Premier League. He might even overtake Bamford in terms of sort of goal involvements. I know Patrick Bamford put a 24 last season, so I'm going to go Rafinha. I just think he's a sensational player, man. Leicester are up next then. Yuri Tielemans won the award last year, and I'm backing Yuri Tielemans to win the award yet again this year. An absolute machine. He can do everything in the centre of the park. I think he is just a sensational footballer, to be honest with you. You know, he could be playing for a Real Madrid or a Bayern Munich or a PSG, in my opinion. Not that other Leicester players couldn't, because I really think that Wilfred Ndidi could as well, but not as glamorous maybe for a Player of the Season award. Harvey Barnes, obviously, is going to put up exceptional numbers this season. Back from that injury, started all 3 of their games. Jamie Vardy is now in decline, but still puts up huge numbers. Do you know what? I'm just waffling here. I'm going to say Yuri Tielemans. I'm going to stick with Yuri Tielemans. Up next, we've got Liverpool, and my head was just screaming at me. Just pick Salah. It's so easy. Just pick Salah. Salah's going to do it. He's going to score 20-plus goals again, as he does every single year. He's going to be incredibly consistent. He's going to be their best forward. If they get anywhere near a title, it would be because of Salah. Pick him, pick him. But no, I'm going against the head. I'm going with the heart. I'm going with Trent Alexander-Arnold, who has been sensational at the start of this season. And to be honest with you, since the turn of the new year, he was really badly damaged, I think, in the media and by England, and sort of mudded in a lot of people's eyes in poor fashion, incorrectly in my head, because since the turn of the year, he has been nothing other than exceptional. This season, he's averaging 5 chances created per 90. 5 chances. He's already created 15 chances in his first 3 league games. That is outrageous. And yes, I know Salah's going to stick up 20 goals, but Trent is improving at such a rapid rate that it's now becoming frightening. Like, I feel like Trent is no longer a right back. He's like a right side. It is almost encompassing of that whole area. He's that good. I'm going to go with Trent. I just think we're looking at a player who is on the verge of superstardom, if he isn't already a superstar, and probably in my head the best right back in the world. Let's do Man City next then. This is annoying, Man City, because I just don't know who's going to start in the front line. Like, I want to pick Jack Grealish. He's the obvious one. I actually picked him in my pre-season predictions as the Premier League player of the season. So I really should have gone Jack Grealish here. And I'm now realising I haven't put Jack Grealish. I've put Ruben Diaz. I've put Ruben Diaz in just because I know that he's going to play every game, every minute of every game for Man City this season. He's nailed on unless he gets injured. You know, I really should have put Grealish in there though, shouldn't I? You know, sorry, Jack. That photo's meant to be you, because, you know, in my other predictions, I put you'd be the best player in the league. My bad. Let's do Man United next then. And I was very tempted to put Raphael Varane in here. I think he's going to be a huge asset for United. He's going to improve Wan-Bissaka. He's going to calm De Gea down. He's going to improve Harry Maguire. He's going to be a settling presence across that back line, bring extreme maturity. I think we already saw it in that Wolves game, what he's going to add to this United side. But I haven't gone for him. Really tempted by Bruno as well, just because you know he's going to get a ton of goals, a ton of assists. He's going to be brilliant in small areas and in chance creation. But I've gone for Ronaldo. To be honest with you, my final decision here was actually between Cristiano Ronaldo and Paul Pogba. I thought Paul Pogba would be a really good pick for this. I think it is going to be his last season at Manchester United. I don't see him signing that new contract, and I think he's going to want to go out with a huge bang. We've seen him put 5 assists up in the first 3 games. He's been brilliant, and across the course of the season, I think you'll see him put up his best numbers ever at United. But it's Ronaldo. I think if Ronaldo even gets close to 20 goals this season, he kind of is just automatically going to get it, just because of the way the media will work and the narrative will start to build and the hype will be surrounding him, and it'll be hard not to give it to Ronaldo. In my head, it should really be Pogba I want to be putting here, but just because I want to get one right, I've stuck Ronaldo in. Newcastle, one of the easiest teams to pick in my opinion. I just think it's definitely going to be Callum Wilson. He was their best player last season. Without his goals, they definitely would have gone down. If he doesn't score upwards of 10 goals again this season, they'll definitely go down. 12 goals, 4 assists last season in 23 starts. I mean, the only other candidate I can think of, Alan Saint-Maximin, maybe. He started the season really, really well, hasn't he? Looks electric in transition, a brilliant dribbler of the ball, but it's going to be Callum Wilson sticking it in the back of the net. I just think he is the man for Newcastle. Brilliant player, lovely guy as well, and a kickboxing champion. So I'm putting him in. Let's go to Norwich then. They've obviously had a really tough start, haven't they? They've played some of the Premier League's best sides as well, really, haven't they? 3 of the top 5 from last season. And Daniel Farke, I actually read a really interesting statistic the other day that his win percentage before the international break, the first international break, is about a quarter of what it averages out across the whole course of the season. So I do think they'll improve. And I actually also think for Norwich, it's better to get the games you're not going to win out of the way early anyway, when you're not really fit, when you're not really firing, when you're still trying to get up to speed. Get the games you're going to get tested in anyway out of the way. Be at your best when you're playing your opposition that you need the points from. But for Norwich, I've gone for Todd Cantwell. I think he needs to have a huge season. What was it? 6 goals, 2 assists in his first Premier League campaign. 6 goals, 6 assists in the Championship last season. Without Emi Buendia's output, if Todd Cantwell can't get 15 plus goal involvements, Norwich will get relegated. I just think Todd Cantwell needs to step up in a big way, and I think he's got the minerals to do it. If he can prove himself at Norwich this season and have a fantastic season, he's in for a big move next summer, I'm telling you. I really rate Todd Cantwell. At Southampton, 3 choices in my head. There's Adam Armstrong, obviously going to score a bucket load of goals this season. I do like the balance of this Southampton squad. They're maybe missing a creator to feed Adam Armstrong, but, you know, what was that stutter? Anyway, last season he was putting up the best non-penalty expected goals in the entire Championship, wasn't he? He is a machine in terms of finishing. Don't think it'll be him though. I also think Livramento is in with a shout. He started the season brilliantly. He's ousted Carl Walker-Peters from that position, which I was surprised about, and pushed him out to left back. I just think it's going to be James Ward-Prowse though. To be honest with you, I just don't see how it's going to be anybody else. You know, captain, 5-year contract, plays pretty much every minute of every game, every season. 8 goals, 7 assists last season. He's just going to be their best player again. It's going to be Ward-Prowse, a fan favourite. He won it, fans and players last year. That'll happen again. At Tottenham, obviously Harry Kane always picks up these awards. Last season, fans and players, player of the year. But I think he might miss out this season just based on the summer problems. He's obviously gone down in a lot of Spurs fans and maybe even players' estimations, to be totally honest with you. Son has started the season really well, so I'm going to put Son in here. What did he get last season? 17 goals, 10 assists, something like that in the Premier League. Can see him putting up pretty much similar numbers this year, and because of Harry Kane's drop-off in the fans' and the players' eyes, Son is a very likeable character. He's just signed a long-term contract. This is an obvious choice in my opinion. At Watford then, I'm going for the man that won both awards last season in the Championship. Again, it's Ismaila Sarr. I basically think Ismaila Sarr needs to put up 15 plus goal involvements for them to stand any chance at all of staying in the Premier League. He is a really good player though, isn't he? Especially in transition. You know, when they are sitting a little bit deeper, absorbing pressure and trying to break, there aren't many better wingers in the league than Ismaila Sarr has been able to progress the ball, physically manhandle players out the way, a great dribbler, a really intelligent mover. I think he is their best player, will have their best season, and will be voted into that award category. You know, Emmanuel Dennis would have to have an unreal, outrageous season to be in there, wouldn't he? West Ham, another really tough side to pick from, because I think Ben Rama is going to have an outstanding season for them. He's going to be one of their best players easily. He's really recaptured some of that form that saw him rip apart a Championship with Brentford. Maybe he just needed a settling in period at West Ham and in the Premier League. He seems to have found his feet now, though. I also think Pablo Fornals at the start of the season is one of the league's best players. So if he can keep it up, there's no reason he can't win it. Obviously, Declan Rice is now establishing himself as one of the best ball-winning and ball-playing defensive midfielders in world football. There aren't many better 22-year-olds than him in world football right now at doing what he's doing. Honestly, when you watch him play for England, when you watch him play for West Ham, he's just the best player on the pitch in every game. This will be his last season at West Ham, let's have it right. But the man I'm going to go for, fan favourite, I love him to bits, Michail Antonio. He's going to have his best season at West Ham. He's going to score upwards of 15 goals, I believe. He's going to continue to be this confident self, be fed by brilliant players like Ben Rama, you know, Pablo Fornals. They've got Vlasic coming through the door. We've also seen Jared Bowen have a good start to this. He's just going to score a bucket load. And he's just such a brilliant bloke, he deserves to win it. Let's finish with Wolves, who actually started the season poorly in terms of points, but brilliantly in terms of performances. I actually really like how Bruno Lage has got this side laid out with Adama Traore as almost a left winger, Trincao as a right winger, but they are quite inverted. They like to get past the forward. They're almost strikers at this point. They play a little bit like Liverpool's front three, with Raul Jimenez slightly more of a focal point through the middle. And yeah, I just think if they continue to play like this, it's going to end up being Adama Traore. He might well have his best season in the Premier League for Wolves. You know, the guy's put up 9.5 dribbles per 90. 9.5 dribbles a game, man. What's the point? Give it to him now. That's just ridiculous. Alright, so that was it for my prediction for every single club's Premier League player of the season. If that makes sense. I hope it does. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Let's get it to, what was it I said, 4,000 likes, something like that. And I'll do the same, but for the young players of the year. Yeah, leave a comment for Sunday Vibes. Thanks very much for watching and all that good stuff. I needed that for a long time. Bye.